The following podcast is brought to you by Radio WICV. Feel free to check us out in the link below.
What's up, peeps and geeks? Sketchy Cast is back! Whoop, 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 whoop! I shout that to screaming horns of nobody. But anyway, with that said and done, welcome back to Sketchy Cast, or in this case, Sketchy Cast S2, Season 2 of my show. I am so glad to be back. I've had a really busy school week. I've had a really busy semester so far, and all I want to do right now is just sit back, relax, and chat with my friends. So, with that said and done, my first guest of this show is my good buddy, who's not in college, but is actually in high school, all the way from North Carolina. This is Luke Perkins. Say hi, Luke.
Hey. Hey, everyone. How are you?
They are doing good.
I am chatting on the phone, and apologies if it sounds like a walkie-talkie from here.
Yeah, we're recording from like somewhere else different, because like I can't just like drive over to North Carolina and just bring you over here. That's like a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, and we also need to mention that we tried Discord and the calling won't work, so we decided to do a phone call instead.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just pray to the God that there are no phone calls that happen during this.
Oh gosh.
I get a phone call. You're fired. God damn it. Okay, but with that said and done.
Oh wait, what if to cover it up, you do a commercial break?
After these messages, we'll be right back. But anyway, with that said and done, I'm going to ask you a few questions related to one of your absolutely favorite things in the world, the art of animation. Because as you and I both know, but nobody else knows, you are a very avid, aspiring animator, right?
Yeah, I actually, this might surprise some people, but I actually started having a passion for animation when I was like in middle school. Like at elementary school, drawing was just like some random thing that I could do, and I was like, okay, but like. And also, I was also like that one kid who loved watching Disney movies, and I was one of those kids that used the VHS a lot.
Oh man, VHSs! You gotta hold on to your tapes, otherwise the good prints will be gone.
Yeah, I keep them. I keep up with the VHSs, man.
And by good prints, I mean, like, yeah, well, we have the Blu-ray restorations, but they make the films look worse.
Oh, God.
Not all of them, but...
Yeah, but, like, continuing on to what I was saying, like, I had a bit of an interest in animation, but I also, one of the things I wanted to be when I grew up was a music composer because I was getting interest in classical music. And then when I looked at what the music notes looked like, I was like, oh god, this is impossible.
I mean, it's not like too impossible if you just like figure it out from like your own expression. Because actually, interesting fact, the legendary cartoon director Friz Freleng was a very avid music player, and apparently he once said, music? I can't read it at all. I just gotta feel it.
He is a master at musical timing. Like, if you look at the short Pigs in a Polka, which is a very quote-unquote subtle Fantasia in Three Little Pigs parody.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Actions, and a lot of the actions are synced to the Hungarian dances by Johannes Brahms.
Yeah, I love those a lot. I miss the cartoons that were timed out to pre-scored music.
That's something I wish that we could do. I wish that's something that people would still do.
I think people still do it, especially in music videos, but it would just be nice to like take a piece of classical music and just time a lot of cool stuff to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Getting back to what I was saying, but I was like, all right, like, what could I do? And then I thought about doing it. Like, I liked doing art, and I got this. And I was thinking about being an art director, and the film that tried convincing me to be an art director was Melody Time. You've seen that movie?
Oh yeah, one of the Disney package films.
Yeah, actually one of the better package films.
Because it's got a little baby toot.
Yeah, and also Pecos Bill and a lot of other stuff.
Oh yeah. But that's interesting actually. Like I didn't realize that you also wanted to get into music because in addition to that, you're also a theater kid. So what got you interested in that?
Theater?
Yeah.
Oh, good question. Uh, here's the thing. Theater. You couldn't do theater when you were in elementary school and middle school, and also elementary school. Here's the thing. Looking back at it now, elementary school concerts are the most embarrassing thing to be part of. And what's even worse is that you can't even resign. You have to just stick with it.
Oh, that sucks.
Like being in like elementary choir concert stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I know
God.
exactly how you feel. After a while, like especially when I was in choir, like especially in middle school, I enjoyed it a lot. But after a while, I was like, I don't know if I enjoy this as much. But then during like elementary and middle school, if you're not part of choir, you need like I mean, if you are a part of choir, it's like that's mandatory. Whereas in high school, I got to like pick that as an elective. So when I really got too tired of it, I was like, okay, I'm done.
All right, now getting back to like about like doing a theater, like, and also I'll talk about like when I decided to become an animator in a bit, but like
Hmm.
let's get through the theater part stuff
Yeah.
over. Um, so when I was at high school, picking blocks is actually very difficult. Like I decided to like draw frequently, like when I was like when I was around 14, and I got like the animation. I'll talk about that later. Sorry to like get like out of hand. But like when hey Luke, you should do theater, and I was like, really? And I was like, yeah, sure, like it'll be fun. And I was like, sure, like I guess I could do it. And like and I also decided to join in drama club, and it was fun. Like it was really fun. Um, like it was like a lot of fun to do. I did 4 shows. One was the homecoming. One was a skit for the homecoming show.
Hmm.
Another one was I played Barnaby in But Why Bump Off Barnaby.
Nice.
I also played Prince Charming in a satirical version of Cinderella.
How far as satire are we going?
Like extreme satire.
Mel Brooks.
It was also, but at times it was also, yeah, like I even then like I knew like some of the writing like this seems childish to me.
Oof.
And that and like oh yeah, and I also did another show last fall, and like in the spring musical I did in the 9th grade was I was in the ensemble, so to speak. Like I didn't like do like singing and dancing because like I had sensitive hearing.
Oh.
And also yeah, but like I played the customer and Patrick Martin, and that was a lot of fun to do. Like I made a lot of friends there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and when I got my phone, I got Spotify, and I would make a playlist of show tunes from movies and musicals.
Nice. Oh,
Yeah.
Spotify. I love those days. I remember just like listening to a fuck ton of Disney songs, and after a while, I'd be like, song, I have but one song, again and again.
Stop it. But getting back to what, but also like to me like acting is like more fun than singing and dancing.
It kind of is in a way, dude, because like to me, singing is more of a case where you're mainly you're mainly limited to expressing your voice through like inner emotions, whereas like acting, it's way more broad. Like you get to do anything.
In a way, and also in a way, this was where I was starting to try to do like animation stays. Like doing acting kind of helped me doing animation.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
which makes sense because animators in a way are basically actors.
yeah. And also, and the other show I did was I played Squire in an adaptation of Treasure Island.
Oh, cool.
It was, which was also really fun.
Which
And
which which,
now,
which
like
character was Squire in Treasure Planet?
uh, I think the Squire in Treasure Planet is Dr. Devil Doppler. I haven't. I will be honest. I have not seen the movie. I want to get time to see it.
Sergio Pablos is upset at you.
Oh gosh. I hope the audience will know that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Um. But like the two films that actually got me into animation. One was an animation test of Glenn Keane's animation for the Beast transformation in Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, I love that test. That's one of the coolest things in the world, honestly.
Yeah, I'm still playing. I still want to get the in progress version of Beauty and the Beast.
But they'll never release it because Disney doesn't want that.
Oh, don't worry. They released it on VHS.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
wait,
it
come to
is
think of
on.
it, I think it's on the 25th anniversary Blu-ray, but you gotta like find some way to watch
You
the.
have to watch it digitally, which adds insult to injury.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Like, guys, come on.
Oh gosh. Yeah, but like, and the other one that actually convinced me was it was actually The Prince of Egypt.
Oh, I love that movie. That's one of my favorite
It's
films to watch during
it's
Passover.
it's such a masterpiece. Like I was like, this is their job. This is something
Yeah.
that they could do.
And you know, the funny thing is, like, I don't think I really liked the movie that much when I was a kid, and I didn't even watch it that as much. But like rewatching it when I was about 14 or 15, I just thought to myself, wow, this is a beautifully told and well crafted movie. Like the artistry, the story, the characters, it's just we've
It's
DreamWorks has almost never made a film up to that standard, and it's
yeah,
honestly amazing.
it's actually a shame. I mean like you can see like the Prince of Egypt, and then like cut to like a few years later, home.
Yeah, like you. Oh yeah, home. But also like the same year that film came out, they also released Ants, which is like totally the complete opposite. Like one takes itself like as a comedy, where the other is mostly very serious, and it's all
Okay.
like
It's
you would never think it's from the same studio that brought us Shrek.
yeah, it's interesting.
Hell, like
Yeah,
it
and
just makes
also
me think
yeah,
that like Jeffrey
the more I got
Katzenberg.
into
Oh, sorry.
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, and the more I got into animation, the more things I learned about like animation stuff. Like I got the Illusion of Life, the Animator Survival Kit, and I would look at that stuff. And also I would often like in the history of animation is also very fascinating to me.
Oh,
And
Frank and Ollie.
uh, uh yeah, like and that's how I actually got interested into animation.
That's great. You know, it's funny you mentioned the Illusion of Life book. I definitely own that book, but I also own Richard Williams' Animator Survival Kit. I own the I, I own I guess these aren't like animation craft books, but I do own a lot of the history of animation books by historians,
Yeah.
like the Bob Thomas Disney book and the Jerry
Uh,
Beck
um,
Looney Tunes books and stuff. And I enjoyed about those books are that unless like if you want to learn about the actual history, those are for you. But if you want to learn the craft as well, you also have the other books that are made by
yeah.
professionals, like the
I,
Eric Goldberg's book, Preston Blair's book, and all that stuff. Those
oh,
books are
I,
beautiful guides.
I want to get the Preston Blair book so bad because I there was a drawing I showed at a Discord community I met called the In-Betweeners.
Oh yeah, I know them.
Yeah, and one of them was a drawing. And one of them was a drawing I made. I don't know how to describe the drawing, but it was a drawing I made, and it was like, and I sent it over to the session. I was like, hey, what do you guys think of this? And animator Ole Loken from Klaus fame.
Hmm.
Yeah. yeah, we actually got to be friends for a bit.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm
For
also
for a
friends
bit.
with. I'm just gonna be quick on this part. Like, I'm also friends with Klaus animator and Greenix and Ham animator Samuel Kabanang and Josh Hill.
Yeah. Oh man, I was so happy to like find Matt Willamy's Instagram page.
Oh yeah. But like getting back to what I was saying, like Oli Wilkin like mentioned that like for some reason that like it looks very strange and he recommended that like the Press and Blair book is good for like building a pose and having volume and range in like your drawing.
Yeah, because like what's really cool about the Preston Blair book is that it shows you how to draw cartoons in a more slightly realistic fashion, and then like the really simplified fashion, because he sort of breaks down characters based on like the straight man, the screwball, the more
Uh-huh.
like down to earth one, the
Oh,
wisecracker.
fun fact, and also, yeah, and fun fact, the original Preston Blair book also had some of the Disney characters he animated, but once they re-released it, they changed to like some of the stuff to like the usual Alan stuff, and also some of Preston Blair's drawings are famous in basketball teams in California.
Oh, that's so funny.
uh,
That's great.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Um,
So going back to like the animation part, you mentioned like that's what you wanted to learn, and that's what you wanted to like get
yeah,
into, but
I want to like learn in like character act. I want to learn like character acting and like other things. Like like I'm still I'm still learning. So like I can't call myself professional yet.
no, you're still in high school, so like you got a ways to go. But if you have like
Yeah,
all those
I'm
influences, you're gonna do fine.
yeah, I'm like one of the rare people at high school that actually cares about animation because like little story. I would go to like I would go to the computer class because it was one of the classes I would take in the first semester, and like before the class would start, I would find like model sheets that I could look at and study from, and I would use the printer from that room, and I would print the model sheets, and I would put it in a separate folder.
Oh yeah, I think you once showed me some printed out model sheets of Basil from The Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah, and I also and the ones I recently printed are drawings of like milk call monkeys and
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think did Mike Ruako's monkey giraffe drawing, was that inspired by that?
yeah, and it also inspired me to try draw monkeys. I love that.
Nice.
By the way, I love that drawing.
Oh, it's so good. I guess we have a lot of influences anyway. But anyway,
We should, you know what? We should talk about the influences as the next question.
I was just about to get into that. Who would you say, like, not only who would you say is your biggest influence, but who would you say would be like the person, like the first notable artist that you looked at and said, I want to be like them?
Oh, it's actually a really tough question.
I I have a hard time answering that myself.
Oh gosh, like I know a lot of people say that Milk Hall, James Baxter influences them, but like from like an animation standpoint, it's like I feel like it's like three. I don't know if it's like three people. Like can I mention like I mean, do I have to mention all of them? Because like I'm worried. Because like I'm
Just break it down to one.
all right. Oh gosh. And this one might actually come to a surprise to a lot of people, but like one of the people that actually influenced me to be like creative in like my work is a man named Harvey Rothman.
Oh yeah, good old Harvey.
Yeah, beautiful, just beautiful work.
His stuff kind of makes me make me think of the work of Gary Larson, if it were not only like visual, but also it had like a mix of classic Warner Brothers and a
Yeah,
bit of uh like it has that comic strip as aesthetic to it, which does make it visually appealing as well. And
Yeah, and
and I also
also
love how he like shows his in progress work too.
yeah, Harvey Rothman. If you're thinking about probably listening to this, you should probably come on the show. I think it would be fun.
Whoa, hold on, son. That's a whole other can of worms.
I'm just saying.
Oh, although, if you would like to come on, Harvey, you can always ask me.
Yeah.
Hey, this is your idea, okay?
I'm sorry. But like going back to Harvey Rothman, I love his work. It's a good reminder of like to try to be creative and like not always imitate the Disney style.
Yeah, because I think he's also kind of critical of like the modern day animated Disney films, or at least other animated films that emulate the Disney style. In fact, if he were, I imagine if someone like him or like another distinctive artist were to collaborate with each other, they would make something unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, and also he's a bit of a critical guy, but like I love him enough that I don't even care about his opinions.
Yeah, like and if you're able to like respect someone for their artwork and their views and like what they do for a living anyway, then nothing that they say should ever get to you. That's actually something that I learned a long time ago. Like, like I'm not saying that I respect people like John Lucy or anything. Like, fuck those people. But like a lot of artists that I follow and respect, like even if they share opinions I don't agree with, more often than not, I like I step back a minute and go, you know what? They actually have a point. That's actually a pretty constructive argument.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, like Harvey Rothman once had a point about his thoughts on Klaus.
Yeah. Oh. Oh yeah,
Oh God,
Klaus. With like one really sweet character in a whole movie of assholes.
Oh God.
Although Klaus himself was okay.
Yeah. Jasper is basically Cusco, but whitewashed.
Oh, that fucking meme. Oh, before we continue, folks, guess who made that famous meme on Twitter of Cusco, like the Emperor's New Groove.
Can I say that meme, like the meme script, and if you guys ever listen to it, we should. You could probably like share it on Twitter or something like that, or like post a picture of it on like YouTube, on YouTube during the podcast or something. But like, here's like the script of it. Don't tell me. Toy Story 4 won the Oscar instead of Klaus. Yup. Angry rants from the people from the cartoon community on Twitter. Most likely. Bring it on.
Jasper is basically a whitewashed version of Cusco.
I didn't add that part because I was worried that people would be mad.
Yeah, but it's Twitter.
But
they get mad over everything.
Yeah, and also, I knew Toy Story 4 was going to win.
I was still, I was still disappointed, but I kind of saw it coming too.
Yeah, like, can I tell you this? Can I tell this story? Or
sure.
I was thinking about like the Oscar was about to come in like a week, and I was like, I have a brilliant idea, and I re-edited that meme, and you laughed at that, meme that I made, and I was like, hey, you should post that on Twitter and Instagram, and I said like, if Toy Story 4 wins, I'll post it like immediately.
And I remember I told you that it won, like just literally as soon as my friend told me, I told you, and you were like, well, gotta do it.
Yeah, and I made the thing as like a big tweet, and I also posted the pic as a reply to Saber Sparks' thing about like the Oscars and something, and that tweet got over 1,700 likes on Twitter.
Dude, you blew up.
I'm amazed at how viral it got, and I got like around 100 followers after that tweet blew up.
Damn, I don't even have 100 yet.
Rip.
Yeah, Rip Eli on Twitter, but what are you gonna do? Okay, but with that said, going back to the actual questions. So yeah, so in addition to all that stuff, like your influences, your favorite artists, and all that,
Yeah,
um, I,
Harvey Rothman. Yeah, well, guys, like if you like go on Twitter to find Harvey Rothman's work. It's great. You'll love his work.
oh yeah, I love it too. But in addition, so like you've actually shown me your artwork, and you've posted it on your Instagram and your Twitter and all that. Are you going like with your art style? Are you going for like a pseudo realistic aesthetic, or a very like cartoony style, or somewhere in between?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I I'm kind of influenced by Harvey Rothman style, but at the same time, I'm also influenced by the Disney Xerox era from the '60s art style.
Oh yeah, the good old Xerox era. I think
Yeah,
I tend to have a love hate relationship with that era because I actually do like the Xerox process.
yeah.
I just don't feel like it should have been in like every Disney movie. Then like I think it fit 101 Dalmatians and the Aristocats the most.
Yeah, and it fit. Yeah, and it also fit Winnie the Pooh and the Sword in the Stone.
Yeah, but like the Jungle Book and like Robin Hood and even the Rescuers, I don't think so.
I mean, yeah, I mean they had like rough paintings of it, but like I remember as a kid watching Robin Hood, and I swear I had a massive part of deja vu when like this kind of looks like Winnie the Pooh in a way.
I think actually I think even as a kid, like speaking of Robin Hood, even as a kid, I could tell that like the fucking dance sequence in the forest, they literally just reused old Disney footage. Like I don't think I watched Snow
I
White as
knew
much.
that.
I don't
I knew
think I
that.
watched Snow White that much as a kid compared to Robin Hood, and even I could tell that they retraced Dopey and Snow White's dance.
Oh, I absolutely knew. I, I absolutely knew.
That's because back then Disney became an act of commerce, and they really tried to squeeze in as much money as they could. In fact, I think it was Wooly Reitherman who, after the Rescuers were wrapped up, he said, "Look, guys, it's good that the picture was a hit, but we spent $7 million on this. We can't just throw money into this stuff." I love I love how he said that when now almost every Disney movie has like not even a budget of 100 million, has like 200 million now. How times have
Oh
changed.
God. Yeah. What was Oh yeah. I was also talking about the Xerox era and like, yeah, but like I'm also very inspired by Harvey Rothman's work, and also like, here's the thing, like, here's the thing, like, here's the trouble I've been through. Like, I don't know if like I want to be like. Like here's the thing, like sometimes I would do like a realistic art style, but then like a cartoony art style. Like I wouldn't draw like realistic humans, but like I would do like kind of stylization.
Right. Yeah, I find that like pretty common with myself. Like
Yeah,
when it comes to the artwork that I make, I prefer to go in a more stylistic and more like not abstract, but more like caricature aesthetic, because I feel like if you go too far into realism, it starts to become a little too not uncanny, but it's like, well, why didn't you just like make a full on portrait?
yeah. Um, and also, yeah, and also Milk Hall is also an influence. Andreas Deja is also an influence, and also Michael Rocco is an influence, and also T.S. Sullivan. I love his work.
Reminder: who's T.S. Sullivan?
Uh, he does anthropomorphism.
Oh yeah.
Like you know the drawing Mike Rocco did with with the elephant drinking the tea.
Yeah. That. Oh yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, and also Andreas Deja's blog is fantastic if you're looking at old drawings, like rough drawings, like where you could see where you can see like the thinking the animator did.
Yeah. Do you? Oh, speaking of which, have you ever been on the Live Lily blog post?
Living Lines Library.
I think that's what it's called, but it's like a blog post where it's like dedicated to I think mainly 2D animated films, but also some like stop motion and 3D animated films where
Yeah,
they show like the
I
concept
love,
art and the animation sketches and all of
yeah,
that cool stuff. It's so much fun to look at, especially if you're wanting to dabble into like your own style and trying to figure out how to
and
manage.
also and also here's the thing. I don't want to imitate Klaus.
God no! Oh God no! That's a yeah. That's another thing too. It's good
I
to
mean,
be like
Klaus. Here's
it's
the thing.
hold on. It's good to be, as I say, it's good to be influenced by, your favorite artists and everything, but you don't want to flat out imitate them.
Yeah, and also like Klaus is good for like studying animation with like character acting and stuff, but like um we but like also but like but also like you also want to do like your own thing. Like you don't want to always be Disney. You don't like want to always do Klaus. And speaking of Klaus, we should talk about Klaus sometime during Christmas.
Fucking we already have we've ranted enough about that movie as is. Sorry, Sergio Pablos. We don't hate the movie. We just have our
we have
gripes with it.
we just have a love hate relationship with it.
Yeah, it's just
If we ever, we should like. It would be funny to do like a special Christmas special sketchy cast episode of Klaus, and just that would be that would actually be really funny to do.
that'd be awesome. We'll have to save that for our own podcast in the future.
I'm just still wishing that they would release the in progress version.
Then they never will. If like 10 years later and we're still waiting.
Oh God. Yeah, but like getting back to what we were talking about, what's another like? Do you have like another question?
I do. I have quite a few, but we got about a little less than half an hour, so we can zip by this pretty quickly.
All
But
right.
I guess going back to like your drawings and all that, did,
Yeah. What do
did
you?
are
Well,
you
like,
are
what do
you a
you think of?
self-taught artist? Like, did you ever go to like cartoon school or anything?
Sadly, that's not a thing in North Carolina because North Carolina doesn't have enough money.
Oh, uh,
Uh,
sorry,
but
North
I,
Carolina.
but in other words, I'm basically self-taught.
Makes sense. Yeah, like I think like I was mostly self-taught until I went to a cartooning school during like my middle school and high school years, and not that I was all that good even back then. Like I look at a lot of the stuff that I did, then I was like, but I found it to be a really helpful learning curve into
Yeah.
basically like figuring out the importance of like construction and anatomy and like
Yeah,
line
and
work and all that.
there's like three colleges like I want to like try to go to, like not like all of them, but like one college, like one of them is like Sheridan College, the other one is the School of Visual Arts, and the other one is the Savannah College of Arts and Designs. Like I
Those
don't
are
want
good
to do like
picks.
no college.
Yeah, those are good picks. Although personally, and this is just my preference, but I recommend trying out like a community college or a 2-year art school first, and then going into the more like dipping your toes in the more prestigious places afterwards. That's
Oh,
what I did.
there's a class like it's not like part of my high school, but it's a part of my school program. It's AP Studio Art 2D,
Oh,
and
nice.
and I could do that in my senior year.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Definitely
Yeah.
consider dipping your toes into that.
Yeah. What was another? All right.
Um.
So
Anyway, so with that, actually, with that said, there are plenty of like well-known artists who did go to art school. Actually, no. There's some people who like broke into the industry without really going into to art school. I can't think of any specific examples, but I think I think I don't think Ralph Bakshi went to an art school. Well, he kind of did. He went to the
I know Les Clark. You know animator Les Clark?
one of the 9 old men.
Yeah, I think he was asked to do like a short job for Disney, but then he quickly dropped out either high school or college to do work at Disney for like around 4 decades or 4 or 5 decades.
Yeah, I love how that small job basically kickstarted his whole life career.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
cool.
actually, come to think of it, animator Bert Klein, I think he actually, because as a young kid, he didn't really go to an art college. He just happened to get an internship at like a smaller animation studio, and from then on, his career just grew.
Wow.
And also, if unless I'm mistaken, there are plenty of animators who like never finished their art school degrees and instead just got jobs. Like the famous story of Glenn Keane going into to Disney was
Oh
that
yeah, you
yeah
told me that story.
yeah like the
You want to tell that story?
yeah. Basically,
So
the famous story was you want to tell it?
sure, I'll tell it quickly.
Okay.
So Disney had this animation training school in like the 80s and 70s with one of the living 9 old men, Eric Larson, and Glenn Keane was one of the people that wanted to work at Disney, and he had a portfolio set up, and he was very nervous as usual, and Eric Larson looked at the portfolio, and as he was looking through the portfolio, I'm sorry.
That's what he did. He
Yeah.
coughed all over it.
Oh, as he looked through it, there was a drawing, a very rough gestural drawing that he made that Glenn accidentally put in his portfolio, and Glenn King was like freaking like, oh no, I didn't mean to like put it in like the portfolio. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like, and he was like, I think he left the room and wait somewhere, and then after Eric Larson looked through more of it, he said, hey, you know this drawing? Could you do more of this? And he did, and he got hired.
Yeah, and that's kind of fascinating too, because then they're considering hiring more people, because at that time Disney really did need new young peeps. They had at the time Henry Selick, Brad Bird, Tim Burton, John Musker, Ron Clements, Nancy Beeman, Kathy Zielinski, etc., etc.
Right.
And a lot of those peeps went on to get their own prestigious careers.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I wish we had more Eric Larsons in the world.
Yeah, he must have been a great guy to work with.
Yeah, and just to have somebody that humble and that sincere about their work, it's just you just wish you had like a teacher like that all the time. Well, maybe not all the time, but like you wish you had just enough of that to make you feel really positive about your style.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep in mind that Brad Bird, when he was
Brad Bird.
was under Milt Call's teachings.
Oh yeah, when he was 14, he was taught up by Milt Call. Oh man, Milt was so famous for like grouching all of the time and saying tracing's a crutch, don't do it this way.
Here's the thing about Milt Call. He's a very talented draftsman, hammy as heck.
And also like I think that there was a famous story that like sometime after he left Disney, which keep in mind he never retired. He just left there out of frustration. But like, there was a famous story that he was having like a TED talk or something or a lecture, and then somebody asked him which artist there did you like the most? Did you like Frank Thomas more? Did you like Ollie Johnston more? And then his response was, quite frankly, I never cared for anyone's stuff. So yeah, seemed like a very nice guy. I'm sure he was, but oof.
And also Milt Call called Ward Kimball Chuck Jones of talent. And Chuck Jones already had a big ego, but let's not keep delving too much into that.
No. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned Brad Bird. In a way, and maybe this is just me, but I find him very similar to like those people who, like in a way he actually reminds me of Harvey Rothman in a way, like not to
Yeah,
because like
he's the
mainly in the
way.
sense of how passionate he was about his art and how he wanted to do things differently. Like there's a famous story that, well, maybe not famous story, but like animator James Lopez mentioned that back in, I believe it was 1988 or maybe 1989 when yeah, I think it was 1988 when Disney's Oliver and Company and Don Bluth's The Land Before Time were released. Good movies in their own right, but you know when like a whole group of animators at CalArts are like, hey, which one did you like the most? Obviously, there's going to be a big discourse, and so at that time, Brad
And
Bird.
Brad Bird, Brad Bird was like, well, both of these movies actually suck.
No. But basically he said, "I got the answer. You're both wrong." And then he and then he showed them clips of movies like Amadeus and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Lawrence of Arabia, and
Uh,
and he said, "You see that? That's the standard that animation should be reaching. And what you're looking at now is garbage." And like on one hand you can say, "Oh yeah, well, fuck you, asshole. What do you know?" But on another hand, you realize, wait a minute, you're right. Like the filmmaking standard of animation should be higher. And of course we have Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but that's only half live action, half animated. We gotta like really boost up our standards.
yeah,
And honestly, I think since then a lot of animated films have really like grown in terms of filmmaking. Like you got the Japanese animated films like Akira and Princess
yeah.
Mononoke and
Spirited
Boy and the Beast.
Away.
Yeah, so many really cool like well crafted films. I think honestly, this I don't know if this will sound too controversial, but I feel like a lot of foreign countries treat animation with way more respect and integrity than America does.
Actually, that's true.
And I'm probably gonna sound like a communist
And
for
in
that.
a way, and in a way, comic books are treated with respect in Europe a lot more than America.
Oh man, those Asterix comics, moi,
Yeah,
bellissimo. But
perfect.
sorry, what?
But it's nothing.
Oh, okay. I wanted to say something. Now I got nothing. But
Oh, going back to what we were going to talk about, what's another question?
I can do one or two more, but
I mean, but like, like you have like a few more questions. Like we don't have to. I mean, we can.
let's just
time in
get back to what we're doing. But with that said, so yeah, like this, I actually come to think of it, since you and I are both very avid researchers with animation and stuff, do you?
And very friends.
Aw, but did you could consider like, let's say animation doesn't work out. Would you ever consider doing what Jerry Beck did, in that he wanted to do animation, but he wasn't good at it, so instead he went into becoming a historian? So, could you ever consider yourself like becoming a critic or a historian?
Uh, if I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to quit drawing.
Yeah, that's always a fun thing to do if you're already
mean,
like learning about it and you're already passionate about it.
I mean, I could be like what Mark Counselor did, and like be both an animator and a historian, because I'm very good with identifying modern animators.
Oh yeah, you've like I think you're like the Mark Counselor of like modern day animators of like, now, and especially like of television animation and streaming animation and feature film animation.
Like because and I was and I was able to identify some animators' works on Klaus and Green Eggs and Ham.
Oh yeah, there's a few people who finally got to show their reels.
Yeah.
Thanks, Warner Brothers.
But like, let's get back to like another question, probably.
um, my mind has gone blank. No, it's okay. Actually,
This is what this episode has been mainly so far. Like, I talk about my life, then we talk about the history of animation.
we are very fluctuating individuals.
I mean, we could talk about. Yeah, I mean, we could also talk. I mean, you can also ask me some questions, and I could talk about like my life and other things, probably. But like,
Well,
what's
we
another?
got time. We got time for a couple more. So, actually, has I should have asked this a while ago, but has your family been very supportive of your, passion and your goals?
Actually, in a way, they, in a way, yes and no. I mean, yes, because like they're glad about like I'm actually doing something active and like they're glad that I can do something important and other things. But like at the same time, at the same time, one time, like almost every time. Sometimes my grandpa, he would see that I'm like sketching. Like he would see that I'm like sketching and drawing, and then he would look at it and it's like, "Hey, Luke, you know what? You should draw the freaking hobbits."
That's
You
a
know what?
whole other can of worms.
Yeah, and he also mentioned that I should draw that character from the magazine Mad.
Oh, Alfred E. Newman. Oof, that's a hard one.
Oh God. Yeah, but like, and also mom noticed that like I don't do like much coloring because I don't have like good coloring material. I basically do sketches, and I told her like, listen, like sketching is good on its own aesthetic.
Yeah, it can be fun to just like view. I remember like when I was giving my portfolios into to like my I think my first college, either that or Micah, and I or maybe it was my first one, and I remember like a lot of like my portfolio like consisted of like rough sketches and color stuff, and like either way, I got into to my first college, but they really liked my rough sketches.
Mm, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they weren't as like critical of my stuff. If anything, they just said, "Yeah, keep doing more fun stuff."
Yeah, yeah, it's a yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I love doing sketches more so than coloring because like if you color on your sketchbook, a lot of the colors would bleed into the pages and like
I love that, honestly. I love seeing like when the line art is so good that it like bleeds into the paper.
uh yeah. Can I yeah. In a way, I kind of like that too. Um, is
But
there like a question that you could probably ask me?
we can do a couple more, but um, we're
Yeah, and then we could talk about like other things
well,
before show
well,
ends.
well. What other things would you like to talk about?
Stop doing the goofy voice, please.
You got
You,
me.
you do that a lot. I've noticed that.
Guilty. My my
Yeah, but like,
my parents get
what is
sick of it
that?
too.
What was one more question you wanted me to? What is another question you wanted to ask me?
Well, I actually usually like to end off my radio shows with this question, so I won't ask this yet. But I
It's
will I will ask you this. What's your favorite like? What would you say it was like one of your favorite like so bad it's good experiences with entertainment, be it a movie or a
oh
stage musical
God.
or whatever?
Oh my God. This happened when I went to, oh my God, I want to, let me, this is something that I've talked about many times, and I can finally, I can finally talk about it here.
Sure.
So, you know, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, who can't? It's the only one of the Star Wars sequels that didn't gross $1 billion.
Yeah, yeah, but like I remember going to see the movie at theaters with my family and also my sister's boyfriend, and also very crowded people, big audience.
And yet nobody in North Carolina screams a lot.
Yeah, but like yeah, but like one thing I wanted to mention.
He's almost got it, folks. Give him some time.
God, but like spoilers if anyone cares, but
It's fucking Star Wars. Nobody cares. I fucking hate Star Wars.
Hey,
Get out of here, kid.
oh, stop it, gosh, just let me tell the story. But like, this is, I love telling this story. But like, so spoilers if anyone cares, okay? But so there's a scene in the movie where Chewbacca, quote unquote, gets kidnapped because he has like a message for like a plan to stop the evil Empire thing or something, and like he goes onto this flying vehicle with the stormtroopers, and Rey sees it and is like, "Oh shoot, I gotta bring it back." So she pulls out her force thing and tries bringing it back, but oh wait, there's more. Kylo Ren. But then Kylo Ren comes back and tries to bring it back to his side, and they're like both fighting on trying to get it in it, and then Rey shoots accidental lightning from her hand, and the thing freaking explodes, and she goes.
And so, like, instead of saying Chewie, she goes, ah!
Yeah, but like all of that moment that led up to this, it was great because there were people going, "Oh no, Chewie's dead," and I'm just like,
like you just bursted out laughing when people were like, "Oh no, not Chewie!"
I legitimately laughed out loud, hysterically, to the point where people could hear me.
Oh man, you must have embarrassed your family so much.
It was so funny. It was so but like the pacing of that scene was freaking hilarious.
Oh man, I know exactly what you're talking about. I just remember watching the awful horror movie It Follows with friends, and like it was so stupid, but I was so glad I was watching it with friends because like we were laughing so hard, like I almost peed. It was so much fun.
Oh gosh. And also, if we ever get the chance, me and you, okay? Me and you need to watch the Oscar-winning, Golden Globe-winning, 2 thumbs up by Siskel and Ebert movie, Love on All Ladies.
Oh, that's a classic. I can't believe I have to live on the street. Living on the street is.
Oh my god. Like here's the thing. I've seen only the trailer, and I laughed hysterically looking at it. I was like, I gotta actually watch this movie with you. Oh, and another sympathetic experience was, you know, the legendary movie Titanic, The Legend Goes On?
It's party time! Party time!
One thing I always wanted to do was to show like my theater friends who are fans of the Titanic movie and show them like the party time number or like the poster of that movie and show them like, me, you, and the rest of the group need to watch this.
Oh, that will be an experience worth waiting for.
But
God. With that said, we gotta wrap this up. So I'll conclude this with one last question, and this is a question.
And also, are we gonna do like the follow us on like Instagram and Twitter things? By the way.
Of course, but we'll save that. So to wrap this up, and I've asked this during the last season, but I'm gonna ask every single contestant from now on. So whether it be personal or professional, what has so far been both the toughest and the proudest moments of your life, and how did you like how did they impact you?
Oh wow, that's actually a tough question. The proudest moment for me was actually, well, in terms of like in life, like I've been glad to like have actual friends after school, like hanging out with them in after school activities.
Aww.
Like but like and other things. And also, they've been very supportive of me, like letting me do what I want to do.
That's good. That's what real friends are for.
Yeah. And also, and one of and one of my and one of the things that I get glad of when I make more progress is like learning like more things and like what to like I'm about to like learn to experiment with animating a shot and other things.
Oh yeah, you've already got an idea for a college thesis film.
Yeah, it's kind of a western movie. It's a western thing.
Nice.
But I'm trying to fix in some of the stuff in it.
Nice. And the toughest moment?
The toughest moment? That's actually very hard. Well, the toughest moment. Oh God,
I've been there.
This is hard. This is hard even for me. I don't mean that in a funny way either.
Oh.
I don't really know.
Well.
Because I'm a pretty sensitive. I'm a pretty sensitive person.
Oh.
Like I'm fine. I'm fine. Like I don't have. I'm fine. Like I don't have a sickness or anything. But like I was one of the kids that would get bullied at school a lot, and I had a speech therapist and I was like, listen, all you have to do is just ignore them and walk away. And it actually worked pretty well.
I think it's funny you say that. I think the legendary animator Tom Cito mentioned that, like, because he went to a cartooning school instead of a high school after a while, because he once said that a class artist gets bullied a lot less.
Yeah.
Good old Tom.
Yeah.
I know how you feel though. Like I've not to name anybody, but I've known some people who have been bullied and have like some have gotten out of it, others are still like haven't recovered, and it sucks. But the one thing you gotta do is just live a really good life. Like I happen to be not liked by some people, but like who cares? They'll never see the person that they dislike as anything else other than.
It's actually what Rafiki and the Lion King said. You can either run from it or learn from it.
Exactly. Great moral.
Yeah, very fantastic moral.
And on that note, I think we will officially end this. So, with that said, Luke, where can people find you?
Well, that's pretty easy. So on Instagram, my Instagram is Luke's drawing page.
Nice.
And every space is like one of those underscore things or something like that. Those little lines on the bottom.
Yeah.
And on Twitter, you can find me as NCLuke1024.
Nice. They'll find that famous meme you made.
Oh yeah. Should I retweet that meme to let people know that should I retweet that meme just in case?
Feel free to.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep
my
Twitter. I'm trying to keep my Twitter thing like both a mix of stuff like animator identifications and like my own stuff.
Right, that makes sense. But with that said, we can officially end this, and we can go back to trucking on this fun Sunday. It is nice and beautiful outside, and we will let Luke...
wait. Oh, you didn't say where we can find you.
Oh, they already know. But with that said and done, that's going to do it for this episode of Sketchcast. Anything else left to say, Luke?
Well, if there's one thing I have to say, Harvey Rothman actually makes good points. The end.
Amen. And with that said, we will see y'all later on the next episode.
Yeah.